You know, going back a second, at Yale, you started to get involved in acting. How did that come about, and first forays into the scene?
I don't know. I think, well, I mean, the true story is really kind of, I wanted to make $3,000 one summer, and my buddy Jason Begay, who's now on a television show called Chicago PD, you know, he said, "Oh, you know, if you get a commercial, you could make a couple $1,000s, and you wouldn't have to work all summer." I was like, "That sounds good." So he said, "Meet my agent." I met the agent. He said, "Well, she said, I'll send you on commercial auditions, but if you want to go on television and film auditions, then you'd have to get into class." And I was like, "Well, I've already said I'm not going to work this summer because I'm going to get a commercial at some point." So I got into class with a woman named Marcia Haufrecht, who's still teaching here in the city. And I was very lucky to have her as a first teacher. She taught the method, I guess you'd call it, the Strasberg method. People kind of make fun of it as like a method actor. It's a complete kind of misnomer in the culture at large. You know, like, oh, he's a method actor. It's become a symbol of somebody that's like in character all the time, but that's not at all what it is. And I don't know who's in character all the time. But she taught the method, and she taught real freedom of whatever it is that you, the actor, the actress, is feeling in that particular moment. You can prepare all you want, you know, but if you're not getting there, or if you're feeling something else, she was like, that's what you got to express, because otherwise you're lying, you know, and that's no good for anybody. And so if you want to laugh at the funeral, you know, famously, if you feel like laughing, you got to laugh, because if you stifle it, you start to lie, and then you're just thrown off. So it was great that I had a woman, a teacher, who was not focused on getting jobs, who was focused on like the truth in acting. It was not about the job at all. We would put up scenes that would go on for like 45 minutes, and these were 2-minute scenes, and she would make us like make relaxation sounds and lie down in the middle of them, and it was horrible to watch, but it was great. It was because when I started to go to that class, I thought, well, acting is about saying words a certain way. I mean, that's really what I thought. It was like I'd never known an actor. I'd never thought about acting. I'd never thought about what actors did. When I grew up, I watched like Gilligan's Island, and I think you can tell by the way I act that I watched Gilligan's Island. And I remember like looking at Gilligan and not thinking that that's a person who has a life and a wife and a kid, maybe. I don't know if he does, but he could very well have. And the only actor that I ever met was Sam Breckstone, the guy from the cottage cheese commercials. And the only actor that I ever saw was the Wicked Witch of the West, Margaret Hamilton. She lived in Gramercy Park, and I grew up on 11th Street nearby here on 2nd Avenue, and I'd see her at the Chock full of Nuts.
And you'd run screaming.
It was, you know, unfortunately, you know, like, I hate to act like I typecast anybody, but it was scary, you know. She was the Wicked Witch of the West, and this was at a time before you had real scary movies for kids. So she was like top dog scary for a kid. I watch the movies my son watches. She's like nothing now. But, you know, they had good cream cheese and nut bread. So I had to get that.
Yeah. So you know, originally I had a question of, did you have a clear career path in mind?
No.
It sounds like.
No, I was concerned because I was like 25 or 26 when I got into that class. And I was concerned because I needed to start to make a living. So after Strasberg, I found my way to this guy named Robert Modica. He taught Meisner technique. So now I had like Strasberg and Meisner. I had the two kind of pillars of modern naturalistic acting. And, you know, I'd say that I use them both. I use whatever works on the day. You know, acting, when you have to act on television or film, like, you have to act. Like, they're not going to wait, you know, so you got to act. And you kind of will use anything at your disposal to get to the point that you think you need to get in that particular scene, even if it's like, I should pee, but I'm not going to, because it's going to give me a certain kind of tension that I like right now. I'm not beyond anything like that. Nobody has to know that I had to pee. I remember on X-Files sometimes I would just do a close-up in my underwear because I felt kind of vulnerable. Because you're only here, I have a suit and just my underwear. But I was like, I like the feeling of like, it feels weird and vulnerable. I feel a little exposed, it's good. I feel a little something that's gonna work in this scene. Or not. So there's lots of tricks that you can use, and I'm saying, like, as an actor, just be imaginative, you know, and play those games with yourself, because it's Marsha Alfred used to, you know, tell me, you know, you watch kids play, they don't go, oh, I'm not feeling like I'm a cowboy today. I can't get it. You know, they just go cowboy, I'm a cowboy, and then they're doing it, and then I'm an Indian or whatever, you know, they do it. So that's really what acting is like, you know, trying to cast away the doubt and relaxing and just making believe. So with Meisner, I learned like the repetition exercise. Do you know this?
You know, all of them blend together, Stanislavski and Meisner.
Yeah, well, the repetition is a very interesting exercise because it's just where we would, the basis of it is where we would repeat, and I'd say, you have a beard, and you'd say,
you have a beard.
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 You know, so it's like, thank you. I have to pee.
I have to pee.
So what that teaches you, agree with me that you have a beard is not scintillating dialogue, right? But, you know, you see how just all these weird colors come out just by repeating this thing. And if you sit there, as I did, and watch the repetition go on on Friday nights, we would have a class from like 6:30 till after midnight. And just watching this repetition, like everybody getting up there and repeating, and he would, when you were supposed to, it was your turn, he was like, he was an ex-Marine, and he's terrifying. He taught me one really great, he taught me a lot of great things, but he taught me one really cool thing, and it's like, he called me over, and he kind of talked like this, and he called every male Meyer. And I have no idea why. And he called every girl Dolly. Now that makes kind of sense, but Meyer, I don't know. So he's like, Meyer. He goes, I like dogs. He takes his legal pad and he writes down golden retriever, lab, poodle, boxer. I'm like, Jesus. He goes, I like dogs, but I love labs. So I've taken that with me. But, you know, honestly, it was a great lesson. It was like, be specific, you know, because use the things that make you feel something. Like, I like dogs too, but I loved my particular dog. So if you're working with imaginary impulses in your mind and trying to make yourself feel stuff, you know, work specifically. Don't just go like, dog. Good lesson. Meyer.
Meyer.